what type of trauma does the mom experience in the pulling away of their child into the system?
Yeah, sure. So we also have to remember that our attachment styles, our brains are formed at the very beginning of our lives. And so there could probably be a big difference between me with a secure attachment and a healthy brain and body, and me incurring trauma, and the way someone who has experienced trauma their whole lives, that I have a regulated nervous system and an integrated brain. And so when something challenging happens, I have the resources and my body knows how to go into, oh, this is scary. And I know how to re-regulate. I know how to experience healing. A lot of our kids' parents don't have that foundation in and of itself. So when you're living in a place of fear state, when you're living in a place of fight or flight or survival already, and then something devastating happens, there is not the sort of built-in neural pathways of here's how we experience regulation again. Here's how we find a place of healing. It's my life is a pattern of chaos. And this is another part of that. And so it's often trauma on trauma on trauma. And really can be a trigger when there has already been loss and trauma in their story, when they've experienced potentially the foster care system themselves. I mean, I often share with foster parents, we know when we're foster parents who are entering this because we love kids and families, who we are and what our heart is. Our kids' parents most likely have an experience of foster care before this. They either experienced it in their life or their family or their community in a way that a lot of us, like middle-class women who are jumping into this, we don't have a frame of reference already. So their understanding of what foster care is may be inherently dangerous and scary, a place where they were hurt or they were betrayed. So there's the trauma of that as well, of how it could trigger things in their story as they experienced foster care before. So those are just a couple of ways. We could talk about this for hours and hours because it is the deepest, most primal relationship. It is body relationship. It is brains connecting in a way that we don't see in other relationships. And so it is deeply traumatic for a mom, not even to get at the shame and the fear and some of the just normal emotions of what they're walking through.
Yeah. And whether it's a mom that's already lost her child into foster care or has an open investigation and is at risk, or is pregnant and has formerly lost her child into foster care, that all of those things can feel really scary. And very triggering. And then she enters into, say, an EMA program and gets paired to an advocate where now you're entering into the space. And for us to have like really deep understanding of all of the things that she's experiencing, we talk a lot about like, how do we build connection, like meaningful connection with mom? And we talk a lot about how it has a lot to do with consistency and showing up. Would you add anything to that conversation on building meaningful relationship with someone that is experiencing all those fears and traumas after maybe having just had their child removed, or some of the other examples that I shared?
Yeah, I love what you said about consistency. And I think that makes sense to us. And it's also a brain-based approach to it, which is that we want to build felt safety. And so us saying, I'm here for you, most likely means nothing. And us showing up and actually being there for them, there is a wholeness of their bodies and brains experiencing our presence and feeling safe with us. So I think that is a great approach. I think one understanding that was important to me was just with boundaries and the way that we can kind of throw around like oh, mom has no boundaries, or she's just crossing all these boundaries. And really coming to know most of these women probably have not experienced healthy boundaries before. And then we throw them into a situation like your advocates or as a foster parent, where we're saying, I want to support you. But there's no line. It's very confusing of what that means. And we have expectations of how we want to walk with them, but
Mm-hmm.
their relationships most likely have looked very different from ours throughout their life. And
Sure.
so to have the assumption that they would just know that calling 7 times in one night is inappropriate, or whatever it might be, that boundaries are a loving way to actually help their brains and bodies feel safe because they know
Yeah.
where the line is. It's a way to maintain healthy relationship with them. It's a kindness for
Mm-hmm.
us to be able to say, hey, here is what I expect of our relationship. Here's what I can offer. Here's what, and really lay it out and not sort of hold them to this invisible line of
Mm-hmm.
where the boundary should be. But we create the line, we hold it in kindness and love, as a way to protect ourselves
Mm-hmm.
as, we're in this really heavy work, and as a way to help them feel safe in the relationship of, this is what I can expect and bring to this space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And doing that early
Yes.
and often.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah. Like reminders are helpful, and because backtracking is hard and weird and can like create stress or fractures in the relationship
Right.
versus just coming out of the gate with that. That's good.
Exactly.